Transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student experience.
Background-wise, I'm also from Chicago.
Nice. And you made the move down to California to study, or do you live here with family?
No, yeah, I came here to study after high school, and I started at UC Santa Barbara.
And so was it always a plan of yours to transfer to USC?
No, it wasn't the plan. I first went to UC Santa Barbara. I just planned on going there for 4 years, but then I went to this conference and I met a lot of really intelligent and great people that went to Harvard, Stanford, USC, UCLA. So these schools have great resources that help them out so they can get to their dreams or goals quicker. UC Santa Barbara does provide some great resources, but USC is a private institution with a $4 billion endowment. So I just applied here. I applied to a lot of other schools, but this is the school that was the best fit for me.
And so computer programming and business, that's an interesting combination for sure. And I think the benefit of being under quarantine is that people have a lot more free time. Can you talk a little bit about any cool things that are going on the side for you?
Picked up martial arts. I took a self-defense class here at USC this year, and that really got me into martial arts. So over the summer, I started learning Taekwondo. I'm working on trying to help my dad make a business from what he does, which is cutting trees. So I'm revolving around my classes and around helping build that business plan, basically. So I'm taking these entrepreneurship courses on how to manage a venture and how to create a high-tech growth startup. So all of these classes are helping me develop that idea that I have with my dad.
Obviously, you're sort of hoping that those classes will consolidate that experience. What are your sort of goals after graduating? Is it to run your own business? Is it to work for someone else?
It's definitely not to work for someone else. My goal after college is to not have to work so I can just travel the world and do martial arts for the rest of my life. And then maybe, who knows what else, whatever comes along the way. But my main goal is to help my dad create a business, create passive income enough for me to be able to live that dream.
I think a lot of young people now are in that same mindset of wanting to start their own thing. And what did you find was most challenging when you transferred?
Starting over. I came from another 4-year institution, so I already had my footing. And then as a transfer, it's a lot harder to create these bonds that you make your first year of college, just because when everyone gets here, everyone's just so excited to make friends. And then over the course of your time in college, the energy to want to keep making new friends goes away. Luckily, I lived at the Lorenzo that year, so there were a lot of other transfers that I got to meet. Breaking that barrier of establishing that friendship, the first month is just always a little hard to become friends. But then after the next semester, my roommates I got close with. Something that I miss about pre-COVID life was being able to go out, but that's very superficial. There's a lot of things that I like post-COVID, during COVID, that I don't want it to go back to how it was before. I've been mentioning this a lot to my friends, but just the appreciation of space. I think that 6-foot distance rule should just be a thing, because I really value being able to move around and not have people all up on me when I'm in line or just doing my thing.
Why do you think it's so hard for transfers to make new friends coming in?
You're not in the environment where you can make friends easily. Most transfers don't get access to residence halls, so I think that not being able to just live that very similar first year experience limits how many friends transfers can make. So you have to resort to off-campus housing like the Lorenzo and hope you find other transfers along the way. You have to go out and make an effort and hope these people are oh yeah, you know what, you're kind of cool, so I'll be your friend too. How did you make your friends? What spaces did you go into?
I found a lot of value in the transfer student community. Not to sell the organization too much, because I am on the executive board, but I definitely, in the first couple of months, made more friends outside of my major, but with other transfer students than I did with students that were in my major, just because we were all together. Dude, I went to every event. I went to the involvement fair. I pretty much got involved in every single student organization that I could possibly get involved in. But where I really found where I made my great friends was the transfer student community, just because we had that point of relatability of being transfers. So that was sort of how I went about it. Both of us were proactive, in finding friends for sure. And so sometimes when we transfer colleges, I know there can be challenges in how the university sort of communicates resources. I'm curious to know what communication challenges you found when coming to USC.
Well, for Marshall specifically, they had this program, a transfer success program, and I got to apply to that before I even got here. And I think that program helped me a lot to figure out what resources Marshall provided and USC provided. So that really helped me. And the other thing that helped me find these resources quicker was going to these spaces like the Union, I think. The Union. Yeah. There you go. there's like these centers for like your ethnicity. So I would go to La Casa, and there I'd always promoted resources. So just going in there, and then they would have flyers, or someone, you'd sit down and someone would talk to you, and then they'd spread whatever they're doing, basically. So I think tabling. I think if the university should have people table more or more, because during those times that was when I was able to really find where I wanted to go. So just being able to like browse around. So I think that helped me a lot.
What's a point about yourself that you really drove in your college essays?
The point that I really drove was that I got really determined to push fun aside and focus on like a larger goal. In my essay, I talked about how being in Santa Barbara, I got to have a lot of fun by being right next to the ocean. If you live near the ocean, you get this kind of like luxury to just live life. You know, there's not enough pressure. But without that pressure, the need to like further improve yourself kind of goes away. I really focused in on that I wanted to improve myself and create something.
Yeah, you want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, basically.
What value do you see there being a transfer student? And what lessons could you take with you from the whole transfer process into future work and your life?
Tenacity and determination, that drive to, you can be in a better position. You make an active effort to just better your environment, better your surroundings. That drive you have to just even want to transfer, that's innate. I mean, if you already have that, then that's your quality, that's your trait. No one can take that away from you, So you can apply that wherever you want to. Besides just career-wise, you can apply it to your life, your love life, your social life, just anything in general.
People get depressed thinking about how tough their life is. It's like, sure, it's tough now, but think about like when you finish, like when you succeed, you'll have that knowledge and those skills and that experience behind you. And like anything else in life is going to like pale in comparison to that, because you're going to have that, like you said, that tenacity, that drive. Like, I've done this before. This problem's nothing different than me trying to apply to college. So for sure, that's something I keep reiterating to people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've never even thought about how being international plays into the role of being a transfer student as well.
It is the same in a way. I mean, the only extra thing I had to really learn was like the culture, just transitioning to a new city, a new country. That was probably, and living alone too, that was a big one for me. I think it's in terms of the college experience, I think it's the same. Like, we went through the same thing, man. Like, we found it hard to make friends. Classes were like shit because you couldn't exactly choose what classes you want to do. And you have to, like you said, you have to start from square one again. You have to get used to this new university. We're all the same at the end of the day. We're all in this fight together. The more we come together, the more we support each other, the better.
Yeah, definitely, man. Totally agree with that.
Ruben, if you could go back in time and give a younger Ruben advice, what would you tell him?
That drive that you had to really like get out of your situation when you were back in Chicago, to hold on to that, because when I got to Santa Barbara, I felt like I already made it in life. There's nothing higher than that. And I felt like that pressure wasn't there anymore, because I made it. I got to college, I got to California. That's a symbol of like, freedom. But remind myself that pressure's still there, even though your surroundings aren't applying it to you.
I think that's something that people don't talk about a lot, is the fact that once you get in, you have that sort of sense of like achievement, which is great, but you don't want to get too comfortable with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Always be pushing yourself for the next stage. Thank you so much for talking with me, Ruben. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And it's great to hear from like young entrepreneurs who actually want to help their family out and create a business that helps others.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I really enjoyed this. This was a good time.
Of course, man. We'll speak soon and have a good long weekend.
The transfer student experience.
The transfer student